Blood 720 is the hardest mode you can beat in Five Nights at Candy's, but better. It's currently ranked number 37 on the max mode list, and to achieve such a high ranking, it has to be very difficult, right? And you'd be correct, because this challenge features having the ability to memorize up to 5 animatronics at once while not letting Penguin drain your power or Chester get to your door. To beat this challenge, you're gonna need to know each and every single detail about these animatronics, so that with enough practice, you're even gonna be able to tell when you're in danger without looking at cameras. So today, I'll be making a complete guide on Blood 720, explaining every inch of these 7 animatronics and the general strategy for the night. That way, you guys can try and beat the mode as well. So, to start things off, I'll explain each of the animatronics. Without knowing how they work, this challenge is going to be off the table. I'll begin with the main attraction, Candy. Before we start this section, I want to give a massive shout out to Kingpin the Bowler for the documentation on all the animatronics and how they work. I'll leave the link to it in the description. A quick note, all the equations in this video are in milliseconds. I'll give the 20 AI values in seconds, but if you want to know the times for lesser or greater AI values, remember to divide the result by 1000. Candy starts at the stage in Cam 1 and will move room to room until he reaches either Cam 4, Cam 5, or Cam 6, which are your left door, window, and right door respectively. The time for Candy to move from one room to another is represented by this equation, which at 20 AI means he moves every 5 seconds. The rooms he can move to are in this movement tree. The different colored arrows are because from where I took this movement tree, it had the possible movements from the normal and blood versions. But we're only talking about the blood version, so just consider all the arrows as one color, except when there's green arrows, but I'll explain it when we get there. In this game, animatronics cannot move backwards. Even though in the movement tree there's an arrow from Cam 2 to Cam 1, he can't move back to the stage. I don't know, blame Kingpin. So what that means is, in a perfect world, Candy will take 15 seconds to reach the right door, 10 seconds for the window, and 25 for the left door. But there's a mechanic in this game where animatronics can block each other, causing this to not always be true. But I'll get to that later. Once Candy is at the door or window, shut it to send him straight back to Cam 1. The time it takes for Candy to leave the door is 0, it's instant. You can shut the door and quickly reopen it and Candy will be gone. It also plays a bonk sound so you can safely tell they left. A very important tip is that Candy cannot go to the same side twice in a row. So if he's been to the left door, he won't go there again until he's been at the window and right door. Now I'll explain Cindy. Cindy also starts at Cam 1 with Candy, but instead of going to the right door and then you can close it, like in the original, she works quite differently. Cindy will move from the stage after a certain amount of time, then make her way to your door. Once she gets there, she will stay forever. You can close the door so she doesn't jump scare you, but you're only delaying the inevitable, since eventually you'll run out of power and lose anyway. To stop her, you must find which camera she's at and watch her until she disappears. Watching her will make her go back to Cam 1 and start the cycle again. Now, let's talk numbers. This is the equation that determines how long Cindy will take to leave the stage. In case you don't know, random is a programming function that basically chooses a random number within the range that it's been given. But to make this simple, at 20 AI, Cindy will take from 24 to 30 seconds to leave the stage. After that, the time it takes her to move from camera to camera is with this equation. At 20 AI, she will move every 4 seconds. Once she leaves the stage, this is the path she will take until she reaches your door. So in total, Cindy takes 12 seconds to reach your door. Cindy can get very easily stalled. These are the conditions that will determine if she will get stalled or not. 1. You're watching her on the stage. 2. You're watching the camera she's trying to move to. And 3. An animatronic is in a camera she's trying to reach. This stalling basically means she will wait until either you left the camera in the conditions 1 and 2, or the animatronic left the camera in condition 3. Now it's time for Chester. Chester will start inside the curtains in Cam 9. Once he's out, he'll move across the left side of the building until he reaches your door. Once he's there, he will cause an instant power out, which pretty much means game over. To stop him from doing so, you have to stare at him in the cameras to pause his timer to progress to the next room. Chester's equation to leave the curtains is this one. At 20 AI, he leaves after 10 seconds. Once he's fully out, Chester's timer will start increasing by 1 every 0.001 second, or 1 millisecond. By looking at him, that will pause his timer, delaying him from moving to the next room. Chester will move to the next camera once the number on his timer reaches the result of this equation, which means he's gonna move after 50 seconds of not being looked at on 20 AI. Once he's moved, his timer will reset to this equation. So basically, it'll now take 2 seconds less for him to move to the next camera. The goal is to keep watching Chester so he never reaches your door before the night ends. Sounds simple, but together with the other 6 animatronics, I'd say not so much. Chester is the only animatronic that doesn't get blocked or blocks anyone. Next up is Penguin.
Can I take your order?
Penguin is by far the simplest animatronic of them all. On his blood version, he will start in your office, so you don't even have to worry about blocking him off. What he does is, after a certain amount of time, Penguin will close one of your doors. If a door is already closed, then he will choose the remaining open doors. Penguin cannot open doors, so if all 3 doors are shut, he won't do anything. His entire purpose is to waste your power. This is the equation that determines the interval of when Penguin will close one of your doors. At 20 AI, he will do it every 10 seconds. And that's it. Sounds simple, right? It's cause it is. But now it's time to get to the animatronics that make this challenge absolutely insane. We're now on the last 3 animatronics, Old Candy, Blank, and Rat. Old Candy starts at cam 10 and will go down to the left side of the building until he reaches your left door. His catch is that the more you watch him on the cameras, the longer he'll stay at your door, wasting a lot of power. Old Candy will move to the next room after this equation amount of time, at 20 AI every 5 seconds. When you look at Old Candy, his aggression meter is going to increase, making him take longer to leave once you close the left door. The amount of extra time he will stay is directly proportionate to the amount of time you watched him. So if you watch him for 2 seconds, he'll stay an extra 2 seconds at your door. This will keep building up the more you watch him, making it so at the later points of the night, Old Candy will stay at your door for a really long time, wasting tons of power. Old Candy will get stalled if an animatronic is in the camera he wants to jump into. Thankfully, once he reaches your door, you can tell he's there because a sound plays, warning you of his imminent attack. This is done to prevent having to look at him in cams to know when you're about to die. This is the path he takes until your door. You might notice something. This is the exact same path Chester takes, and you have to constantly watch Chester. Uh-oh. Yeah, I told you these next animatronics were no joke, but once I get to the strategy portion, I'll explain ways to remedy this issue. Now for Blank. This is when you're gonna have to use 100% of your brain power. Blank will start at cam 11 and will slowly get up until he disappears. Kinda like a Foxy mechanic. Once he's gone, he will appear at cam 5, and when he's there, you'll have a brief amount of time to close the window. If you fail to do so, Blank will break the window and soon after, jump scare you. Now, usually you're given a grace period before Blank breaks your window, so you have an extra amount of time to react or remember he's about to attack, and press the button. On the blood version, when Blank leaves cam 11, he will instantly break your window, like literally 0 frames. To make sure you don't just get destroyed, you have to watch Blank in cam 11. The amount of time Blank will give you before breaking the window is also directly proportionate to the amount of time you watch him. The difference is, there's a cap. After watching Blank for a total of 4 seconds, watching him more is just going to be a waste of your time. That is the max amount you can make him wait. This is the equation that determines the amount of time Blank takes between each of his stages. He has a total of 4 stages. 1 where he's deactivated, 2 where he's looking at the camera, 3 when he's standing up staring at the camera, and 4 when he's gone and now at cam 5. At 20 AI, Blank takes 24 seconds to get to cam 5, so if the player were to be in cam 5 right as this 24-second interval hits, Blank won't instantly break the window. making watching him in Cam 11 not entirely necessary. Blank's animation of hitting the window takes 1.55 seconds, so his next interval will be offset by that amount. But that means Blank has set intervals of when he will be at Cam 5, which is where this massive list comes from. I'll list here all the intervals accounting the animation time. You ready? That's a lot of numbers. Here's where the bad news comes. You're gonna have to memorize these if you want to make 100% sure that Blank won't be a problem during the night. But don't worry, once again, when we get to the strategy portion of the video, I'll give a really good way of dealing with this insane amount of intervals. Oh, and by the way, if you have the window closed when Blank is hitting your window, he will stay stuck on the last frame of his animation until you open it. So make sure to be at his cam when the attack comes. Time for the last animatronic, Rat. And no, it's not this Rat. Rat is actually quite simple. He starts at Cam 9 and he's basically Candy except he can't go to the window. His difference is that instead of going to the room adjacent to your door, he will attack you from the room before, which in this case are Cams 3 and 7. This is the equation that shows his interval to move from room to room, which on 20 AI means he moves every 5 seconds. Rat's movement tree is this one. He takes 15 seconds to get to Cams 3 and 7. Also, this is how he looks on those cameras. He's kinda sneaky, so I thought it was important to show it. And also, this is what I meant when I said except green arrows. These arrows are from the normal Rat only. Rat on blood mode isn't gonna move to those two cameras. Rat also has that thing like Candy, where if he goes to one side and you block him, he can't go to that same side until he's gone to the other one. With that, that's all 7 animatronics explained. But before we get to the general strategy of the night, I want to mention a couple interactions between the animatronics that could happen during your attempts. First, let's finally talk about the blocking situation. An animatronic gets blocked whenever they try to move to the next cam, but another animatronic is inside cam. These are the animatronics that when blocked will reset to their starting room, and these will simply wait until the room is free to move into. Secondly, the infamous Blank plus Candy combo. If Candy appears at the window right when Blank's interval hits, if you haven't watched Blank to build up some grace period, after closing the window on Candy and reopening it, Blank will instantly break the window and jump scare you. But if you leave it closed, Blank will do that permanent last frame animation I explained earlier and eventually kill you, or drain your power. Trust me, I've lost a lot of runs due to this interaction. The best tip I can give is being able to remember which sides Candy has been to. If Candy just went to the window, don't bother watching Blank. But if it's a 50-50 or guarantee he'll go there next, make sure to spend some seconds watching Blank to prevent this from happening. Third situation is the double bonk. This is caused by Candy and Rat being at your door at the same time. When you close the door, the bonk will sound louder, indicating both Candy and Rat have been dealt with. It's good to know so that you won't be checking for one of the two unnecessarily. Now it's time for the long-awaited strategy section. Here I'll show what you have to do during the night in order to have the easiest time with all those mechanics in play. Before beginning, I just want to warn you that this mode doesn't have a cycle. It's more a combination of knowledge about the characters and being able to minimize the amount of things to focus on. One last preparation you'll need to make this challenge way easier is the usage of a timer. With this, you're going to be able to track all of the animatronics and their intervals, including Blank. I'll leave the link for the download of LifeSplit, which is the most commonly used timer and one of the best. Now here comes the big idea to deal with Blank. Which, by the way, shout out to LCR for this idea. It's truly a lifesaver. In LifeSplit, you can right click on the timer and click on Edit Splits. There you want to add 14 splits by pressing Insert below. Change the split time to the Blank intervals I showed you earlier. I recommend changing the splits to 1 second before the intervals. That way, you'll have time to react and go to Blank's camera. Now, press OK and go to Edit Layout. Here you want to choose everything except the timer, and click on the minus icon. What this does is, it removes all the split elements from the timer, making it so only the time is shown, which makes your timer way smaller. Remember that by doing that, you're only removing the visuals of the splits, but the splits themselves are still there. LifeSplit is usually used for speedruns, and when you make a split, it's to separate a section of the run so you can see how long you're taking in each individual sections of the speedrun. When your time goes over your last split's time, the timer turns red, indicating you are now slower than your previous run on that section. Can you see where I'm going with this? 1 second before Blank's interval, your timer will turn red, which will serve as a warning that Blank is about to go to the window. That way, you'll be able to react to that and go to cam 5 to deal with it. Oh, and make sure to go to settings and set a keybind for start/split. So when blank hits the window, press the split button to change the timer to green again. Also set a keybind for a reset timer for whenever you lose an attempt. Genius, right? At the start of the night, hit the start timer button. What you're gonna do is you're gonna wait until 10 seconds on the timer, which is when Penguin is gonna close one of your doors. Reopen it and go straight to cam 9. Before the 15-second mark, check cams 5 and 3. The reason why is because Candy could be in one of those. If he's in the middle, close the window. If he's on the right, wait until after 15 seconds to shut the right door. At the 15-second mark is also when Rat is gonna be ready to attack, so check cams 7 and 3. Find him and shut the corresponding door. Keep in mind that Rat could get blocked by Candy, so sometimes he won't be there. Or Candy could get blocked instead. This happens. One thing you should never do is assume when animatronics are at your door. I used to do this and I never knew how bad it was until now. When you shut a door, even if it's an instant close and open motion, it will always take 0.5% power, no matter how brief the door was closed for. So by closing the door where you think an animatronic is, and no one being there, you're essentially wasting 0.5% power. After you deal with Rat and Candy, wait until 20 seconds. Do not check cam 9 because old Candy will be there, so just idle in the office. Open the door Penguin closed and watch Chester. Here is the first blank interval, so wait until the timer turns red and get ready to look at cam 5. Deal with blank and now get ready for old Candy. At this point, he'll be at your door at 30 seconds. Watch out because Candy could show up in the middle or right, so make sure to check for him after blank. Once you hear old Candy's sound cue, shut his door and deal with Rat or Candy if they're also there. When all threats are gone, time to look at Cindy. Cindy will 100% be out of the stage at this point, so quickly find her and send her back. A common occurrence here is Rat also being on one of the danger cams while you're trying to find her, so deal with Rat first. Cindy should always be your last priority. Everyone else will kill you faster or block Cindy from reaching the last cam anyway. If Cindy is at her last camera and you have to watch blank or something, then you took too long to deal with her. With all of that done, what you want to do now is begin the cycle of watching Chester for 3 to 4 seconds, then clicking on cams 3, 5, and 7 to check for Candy and Rat. You're also going to be taking a mental note of where Candy has already been and who's in front of the left side of the building. The reason why is because you want to minimize the amount of times you accidentally watch old Candy while looking at Chester. So always try to keep track of who's in front of who. If you just dealt with Rat and Candy and you know old Candy is past camera 9, then you don't have to watch the left side at all until you hear old Candy's sound cue. Every time old Candy attacks, Cindy will be out of the stage, so you can use that to know when it's time to deal with Cindy. Though keep in mind that as the night progresses and you accidentally watch old Candy, they will get desynced, meaning you'll have to start watching for Cindy just before old Candy reaches your door. Now, the timer strat for blank is nice and all, but it's still good to know all his intervals, since the red warning isn't going to do much if you have to watch Cindy or close the door on someone right as blank is about to attack. So start studying. Oh, and I totally forgot to mention why you check cams 7, 5, and 3. You're probably thinking, what about Candy at your doors? If you see Candy's at cam 7 or 3, once he disappears, he'll be at your door, so that way you know where he is and you won't have to check the door cams. You can still do it if you feel like you missed Candy. Now you want to fight for your life and make sure to waste as little power as possible. Opening doors Penguin closes as fast as you can and making sure old Candy doesn't get too aggressive. Once you reach 535, you can do what is called a forced power out. Power outs in this game compared to FNAF 1 are not RNG. It takes exactly 25 seconds for Candy to kill you once a power out has occurred, which means that after 535, you can force a power out by shutting all the doors, meaning that you won't have to worry about anything else in the last 25 seconds of the night, guaranteeing you a Blood 720 win.
Cannot take your order.
GG's. GG's. Ah, it's over. And that's the complete Blood 720 guide. I hope I didn't miss anything because this game has tons of details, it's insane. I've been editing this video the whole day since 8 AM and I'm just ending it now at 11:42 PM. But I don't regret it. I want to get the best guide possible out there for you guys. I'll use this time to thank again Kingpin the Bowler and LCR. These two are the GOATs of this game, and taught me almost everything I explained in this video. Now, I'll be heading out, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next completion.